Hello children, I am going to summarize the lesson Agriculture from your geography book of class 10. Here the lesson talks about the agricultural occupation. Here in our country, majority of the population, they uh, depend upon farming. Farming produces the food crops that we consume, and also produces the raw material for different industries. Basically, two types of farming is there. One is subsistence farming and the other one is commercial farming. Subsistence farming includes two types, that is primitive subsistence farming and intensive farming. Intensive subsistence farming. Now, primitive subsistence farming depends upon the primitive tools or the outdated tools. It depends upon the monsoons, that is, it depends upon the monsoon season. It works on the basis of the natural fertility of the soil, and the family members, they work there in the farm. For example, slash and burn agriculture. Next one is intensive subsistence farming. So here also farming is done for self-consumption, but it is intensive, not the primitive. Now here it is a labor-intensive farming, that is the laborers are not only the family members, but they are hired also. Then it depends upon the irrigation, and because it doesn't depend upon the monsoon rains only, so it depends upon the irrigation and the biochemical inputs, because it tries to give higher production. Now enormous pressure on the land comes because of the right of inheritance, because the land holdings, the size of the land holdings go on becoming smaller and smaller from one generation to the other generation. So the burden on the land increases, the dependence of the number of members on the land becomes smaller, and the family members, the number of the people depend upon that land keeps on increasing. The next one, if you see, is the commercial farming. So commercial farming, from the name itself it's clear, that is, it's for the business purpose, for the commercial purpose. Here the modern inputs of farming is required. The modern inputs are the high yielding variety of seeds, the chemical fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, etc. And the type, that is plantation farming, is one of the commercial farming. So what is plantation farming? A single crop is grown on a large tract of land. Single crop is grown scientifically on a large area. It's a capital intensive industry, because as we saw, all these things, high yielding variety of seeds, chemical fertilizers, insecticides, pesticides, all we get to, with the money. So more money is required here. It's a labor intensive industry, that is more number of laborers are required, and basically it works on the migrant laborers. Then here the development of the network of, that is, here the developed network of the transportation and communication is required for an efficient plantation farming. So here we saw the different types of farming, that is subsistence as well as commercial. Next one, when we come to the cropping pattern, the next topic is cropping pattern. When we see the cropping pattern, means the cropping, what to say, the different crops grown in a particular region, the pattern of growing crops in an area. So here the three cropping patterns are there: Rabi, Kharif and Zaid. So Rabi crop is sown in the winter season, and it's sown somewhere between October to December, and it's harvested in the month of April to the month of June. One of the example is wheat. If you see Kharif crop is sown on the onset of monsoon, and it's harvested in the month of September and October. One of the example is rice. if you see here, to remember, just to memorize, R for Rabi and R for rice. So they both of them will not come in the same column, in the same section. Rabi goes for wheat and Kharif goes for rice. Or you can have your own different ways or means to memorize or learn or remember it. The third one is the Zaid crop. Zaid crop is a short season crop and it is grown between Rabi and Kharif crop. The examples are the different vegetables grown. Further, when we talk about the different major crops, it starts with the rice crop. Rice is a kharif crop. It's a staple food crop of India. Staple food crop, that is the main food crop of, or main food crop consumed by the majority of the population. India is the second largest producer of rice. The temperature required for rice is about 25 degrees Celsius. Its humidity required is, the humidity requirement is very high, and the rainfall which is required for growing rice is above 100 centimeter. One of the state is any of the northeastern states, even Kerala, Tamil Nadu, as we see that it's the staple food crop. Majority of the states, they grow rice as their main crop. Similarly, for the other crops also mentioned in the text, you need to write down the requirements, the different conditions required for the growth of that particular crop. After the major crops, food crop and the non-food crops, we move ahead to the Bhudan Gramdan section. So here Bhudan, it was actually it was by Vinoba Bhave. So Mahatma Gandhi, he declared Vinoba Bhave as his spiritual eye. And here after the martyrdom of Mahatma Gandhi, Vinoba Bhave, he undertook Padayatra in order to spread Gandhiji's message. He delivered lectures and he conveyed message of Gandhiji. So in one of the place in Andhra Pradesh, while he was giving his lecture, delivering his lecture, one of the landless farmer, he stood and he demanded for land. Vinoba Bhave assured that he would talk to the government and find out a solution for this. Suddenly, Sri Ramchandra Reddy, from the same meeting, Sri Ramchandra Reddy, he got up and he donated 80 acres of his land to 80 landless farmers. That was Bhudan. Then further ahead, later on, different zamindars, they distributed or they donated some their different villages to the people. That was called as Gramdan.